I keep wondering if there's something else for me to do. Setup looks a little different this morning. And I've gotten older during the night, killing more brain cells. So the brain cells power isn't there anymore. Okay. I've been doing both meditation and satsang for many years. The easiest thing for me to do is to sit in a solid position, look in and towards my brain, then drop downwards into my body until it inhabits my entire spatial environment. But I'm not of this world anymore. I finally understand that from Robert and Nisargadatta. You keep looking within until the day-to-day person disappears in satsang. And you're possessed by the silence and the circulating satsang energy. Just turn your attention around towards you. Sitting in a comfortable space or lying down if you prefer. But for permanent work, sitting up is favored. What we are doing by doing this is tapping into a much deeper aspect of ourself. I'm captured by satsang. When I look into myself, I feel nothing but bliss. And some itchiness on my back. But that's not the major thing that's happening. It's hard to use the term bliss because that seems more of an active term. But imagine sitting in your chair after a hard day of work, or on a weekend like now, trying to drop into ourselves, whatever that means, however you want to do that. And you see a vast space. But it's dimmed by the fact of the distance beyond you. That little place you are is swimming with bliss. And again, I didn't like the word bliss. But I feel the satsang energy flowing within me from head to toe. When that happens, my attention to the world drops to zero, and the world can intrude itself by making loud noises or something like that. But the space I'm in now, it's so quiet. There's no noise around here right now. And if I were to give other words to describe it, it's sweet, gentle and sweet. And what you're able to do is to drop below our usual place of identity with the world. Usually we're standing up or sitting and talking, driving a car, reading a book, doing something for work. But on the days off, you go within to begin to meet yourself. The self is not tangible in the way a body is, because the entire space that I'm seeing, I'm feeling right now, is very absorbing. My energy feels, my body feels almost like my whole body had been stuck into an electric socket with the flowing of energy through me, through my body, but much more pleasantly than electrical shock. In this place, we find purpose and settlement in a different world. The world of bliss and of emptiness, of silence. And this goes on for a number of years. Things can happen quickly or very slowly. But I had a strong attitude of independence and not wanting to follow any guru's stated steps and just imbibe in their presence instead. This is a rather fucked way to do spirituality. You should want to experience yourself with every bit of energy and space you can find within you until that whole space becomes filled with bliss and wandering energies that go everywhere. Now, I'm right at the chamber of going beyond existence altogether. And from this place, you don't exist. You are so still that all that you do is feel the presence of great energy and the great happiness of being free from our human existence. I do something as a human, which is to shut up and look into either my forehead and the emptiness behind it, where the third eye is, or I drop down inside into the heart or lower. And I feel mountainous energies and a great deal of happiness. There are no problems here. Problems were yesterday or later on this afternoon. Something will happen. Inevitably, something always happens to take me away from the freedom that I feel now. Even this state is a joke. There are states that are closer to the self that are harder to describe because they have no referent in the earthly world. There's only something you can find within by going deep within yourself. What I found very valuable was a treatise by, what is his name? Nisargadatta's teacher.
Siddharameshwar.
Thank you. And the name of his book was what? Okay. His book is available everywhere. I mean, everywhere on the internet that has spiritual sites. And read it. Just the reading of it will grab you and your attention and your whole body experience into what appears to be a different dimension. Here at this energetic level, waves of bliss are everywhere. But this still isn't what meditation or spirituality is about, becoming quiet. But it's a large part of it. Now, what can happen from here is a sudden, very sudden dropping of your mind into your body and feeling totally awake during the experience and watching the expansion of the world compared with the expansion of yourself. Suddenly, the world of matter is beyond enormous. And the depth inside of me of the awareness that's aware of these bliss things and aware of spatial size, it's frozen into experiencing my entire existence within emptiness and the grace of emptiness. The best way I can describe the stillness of satsang. And I just lost the term I was looking for. But there are terms like God realization, self-realization, etc. They don't mean much. It's through experience that you pay really close attention to because it's such a new experience. It captures your imagination and your attention. So as I look around inside, there's a vast emptiness everywhere. My mind is hollow. It's not entertaining anything. And there are things around that seem to draw you even in the unconscious state. For me, I feel bliss raining down on me inside. And inside feels more relaxed than I've ever known. I could easily be asleep, but I'm not the slightest bit asleep. Although some of us, like me, tended to fall asleep during meditation. There's a narrow window to go through when you're descending into yourself that separates the two experiences. So if you can't get to the one where you're almost frozen into stillness, try to go into emptiness while you're in imagination, while you're sitting in satsang. Maybe you feel the bliss, but you don't feel the extent of the bliss. Maybe you feel your body, but the rest of the universe has no existence for you. One of the things this is doing is to rob you of your conventional identification with body and mind, even with teachings. The emptiness comes first. And then sometime you'll hear a voice. It may sound like Ramana or Robert or somebody else that is trying to teach you something, something you could take back to yourself after you re-enter the everyday world. You can also do walking meditation. I did that a lot for years, but I took a tape recorder with me and played a lot of spiritual songs, kirtan, all that. And boy, did that feel fresh and wonderful to walk with that one pointed mind, fixated on the bliss within, bleeding outwards into the world. But if you're going to develop psychic powers, this is the place it begins to happen. Now you have to really practice long and hard. And even this space will crack open, leading to an even bigger space, even more empty. And you'll want to touch the bottom of it to see if it has form or is formless. For me, it had form. In this state, if you're among strong meditators, you'll find a whole room full of them experiencing the same peace and bliss and energy. It's very easy to find people that are not conscious of the world anymore. And you have to work a little to get them up. I could have gone totally silence instead of talking to you, which would allow me to go into one of those states. But I would have been leaving you behind. And I'm trying to learn, or have you learn, how to call that bliss to you at any time and share it with another. And you can do it. You can call someone 10,000 miles apart. And if she is a strong meditator, usually the teacher, you can feel their presence too with you in this vast emptiness. Now, there's just this form of meditation. There are countless other forms, but this is basically the one taught by Zen and by Robert Adams, and somewhat by Nisargadatta, but Nisargadatta went further in a way. Nisargadatta recognized we slowly built our own personal world over a period of decades. And even if we got lost in space with no orientation, we still would be looking and interpreting things in terms of whatever for you. And when you sink finally into the emptiness, you can explode and become one with that infinite. I can't talk about it and be here doing it at the same time. I'm doing this for memory. How people come to practice meditation here. And we can feel their presence. We can see them with open eyes. Their eyes are open but vacant because they're looking within, aware within, which after a while isn't even this world. But there are too many words describing already what our experiences are and will be. So I refuse to give you any more. guidances in that for fear of taking you into territories where there are problems. So also, if you feel at any time you're over your head and trying to enter this experience, it allows you to be here, but more separated from it. Right now, I'm searching for a way to have a new blog, one totally dedicated to studying Robert and Nisargadatta. The problem with Nisargadatta is the extreme confusion that he creates when he uses everyday terms to describe that which is beyond, like I'm doing now. The full experience is only after you shut up and you lose yourself in your own experience rather than describe your own experience or somebody else's experience or explain anything else altogether. If you are in this state, you'll be very tight and very peaceful. Are there any questions? Now, often you can use music to accompany you in this state that you're in, which gives it more heaviness and a larger sense of presence and how it affects you. Meditator, the real one, is an explorer of his or her own life and what kind of entities are close. In this state, you're very deep inside. You have to wake up a little so that you can ask questions about what you're experiencing. And figure out other ways to bring that sentience to yourself. Right now in me, the energies are flowing in my chest, especially around my heart. And all the muscles of my body surrounding that point are a bit rigid, enclosing that portion of emptiness with emptiness. Over time, years, the power of meditation will grow in you until you can enter various spaces not normally available to you, that you can do healings with if you want. Sometimes they happen to you automatically. But you'll notice that your attachment to the ordinary world we live in gets less and less. And sometimes you have to almost force yourself to stay in it. Are there any questions? Sarah? No. You have any questions?
Am I the only Sarah here? I'm not sure. Thank you, Edgy, for today. I don't really have a question. I just have a feeling that I never had before. Somehow your voice and what you were saying took me to a place where I felt pulled out of the world into beyond world, beyond
Yes.
universe.
Yes.
It was an amazing place. And then your voice took me out. It brought me out of there when you start talking again. I was, whoop, wait, where am I? It was a feeling of, I don't know where I am. And I liked it. It was very peaceful. Thank you.
Sure. You can get there easily now.
I hope that's true.
And if you have need of it, come to Satsang.
I've been to Satsang, only I hide. I've been to Satsang without showing you I'm here. I would come after the fact online or whatever. I was not brave enough to show up here till lately.
Right now, I'm trying to find information to build a new blog for this new level of teaching coming up. So far, I've just gotten lost in the inners of my own computer. But I'll try to contact with some programs that contact outside of the computer. Now, maybe you can imagine how the bliss you felt today, if you felt it, can be magnified a dozenfold. You will eventually begin to understand how meditation can take you out of the world and as an entree into another world. This is something Robert talks about all the time. And the same thing with Nisargadatta's teacher. But the teaching is very different in style from that of Robert. Has a different feel. In any event, the more time you spend inward with yourself leads eventually to more happiness in the world. Because you control the amount of sense data you let in from outside. At least enough to understand what's going on with that noisy person next to you that's trying to figure something out. I can't really suggest any of Nisargadatta's books because he did not seem to understand how to best communicate. But I got an enormous amount out of it by reading his book on the teachings from his school. I don't know about other teachers like Amma, although I met her a couple of times. Okay. Can we have some chant music again?
What would you prefer? Soft, gentle, or more energetic?
Surprise me.
Okie dokie.